All right, I think we're at a pretty good number, so we can go ahead and kick this thing off and get it started. Hi, everyone. I think all of you know me, but my name is Tony Richardson. I'm the Director of Urban Conservation Initiatives here at the Conservation Fund and have the pleasure of helping to manage our Parks with Purpose program and some of our urban conservation initiatives. So thank you all again so much for joining today. Today, we're going to be talking about engaging social media and how you can leverage social media to recruit volunteers and amplify your messaging and all of the great stuff that social media can do. And so, with that, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Isabel, ask her to introduce herself. She's going to give just a quick overview and we'll also introduce our two guest speakers for today. But thank you all again.
All right, thank you, Tony. Hello, my name is Isabel Lyon. I'm our associate here at Urban Conservation Program of the Conservation Fund. And I'll kick us off today with introducing some of our colleagues. So obviously Tony introduced himself, and I'm Isabel. I'm the associate here. Hopefully I've been in your inbox a few times, but also joining us today, we have a couple people from our marketing and communications team that will be presenting on some best practices, Jeffco and Aaron. So I will let them introduce themselves once they get to that portion. But just a quick agenda of what we're doing here today. So obviously welcome and introductions. We're going to talk a little bit about Parks of Purpose, and then why we started our Lunch and Learn series. And then after Jeffco and Aaron go through, we'll have a question and answer portion as well. But just a little background on the Parks with Purpose program for any refreshers or newcomers. We launched in 2013, and our Parks with Purpose program focuses on the most vulnerable communities and urban communities in America. And through a community-centered approach, we support the residents in conceptualizing, planning, and implementing vibrant new urban green spaces, whether that be parks or green or blue infrastructure. We cover it all. So not only do these new green spaces provide safe places for kids to play and neighbors together, but they also address additional environmental, social, economic, and health issues that often impact urban communities. So we started the Parks Purpose Luncheon series back in May. And so we work to bring an expert from the nonprofit and urban conservation space to share their knowledge, expertise, and innovative approaches. Our goal with the Lunch and Learn series is to foster practical knowledge sharing and build a connected Parks Purpose network and provide any capacity building where we can with broader topics that we're covering. And so topics and themes are identified by a network of practitioners working to make their communities safer, greener, and more resilient to environmental and economic challenges. But with that, I'm going to pass it to Jeffco and Aaron. Thank you, guys.
Hi all, thanks Isabel. Before I jump into this slide, I'll just take a moment to introduce myself. So I am Erin Miller Carter. I work for the Conservation Fund as the digital marketing manager. So I primarily run our social media for TCF. So excited to be here with you all today to kind of chat through how you guys can use your social media and hopefully, as Tony said, increase volunteers and all that through social media. So really quick, I know you all know what social media is. It's probably also part of the reason why you're here, right? You're like, oh, I know what that is. Let me see how I can leverage that. So just to put it into perspective really quickly, since we hear social media all the time, but perhaps we can't really define it, social media allows the sharing of information through virtual networks and communities. So again, I know you all have heard of these popular social media sites. Today, we're going to focus on best practices and engaging content specifically around Facebook, but these best practices that we chat about today are also incredibly relevant for LinkedIn as well. Some things are a little bit different for X, formerly Twitter, mostly in that brevity is key on that platform, meaning you won't be able to share a lot of information in one single tweet on X. And then for Instagram, the key really is to have high quality professional photos accompany your posts. So that will really boost engagement on that platform. And then for YouTube, investing in professional video is usually the way to go. But those are just some quick notes. And again, as I said, we're going to focus today primarily on Facebook. Isabel, you can head to the next slide, please. Thank you. Okay. So why is social media important? So social media allows for two-way communication. This means that you all can share a post with really important information, and your followers can reply and ask a question to which you all can answer that question, or they can like and show their support, or mention that they'll be at an event, see if anyone else is going to the event, and it just kind of opens up this two-way communication in real time as well. So the second you hit publish, your followers can see that post on their feed. It's literally instant versus some like older school advertising, right? Like direct mail or leaving a phone message, since no one answers their phones anymore these days anyway. And finally, it's quite easy. And we'll show some examples of how to create content using Facebook's Meta Business Suite later. But for now, it's just good to note that a few minutes typing up some content and pressing post essentially disseminates information immediately to the masses. So just some quick notes there. But now I'll turn it over to my colleague Jivko to discuss some Facebook best practices that will help you all boost engagement.
Hi all, can you hear me okay? Okay, so great to be here. My name is Jivko and I'm TCS digital strategist based in Richmond, Virginia. So in the next slides, I'll go over best practices when posting on social media. And if you have any questions, please write them down or post them in the chat and we'll address them at the end of the presentation. So social media marketing is all about meeting your target audience where they are. Many organizations, and I'm certainly guilty of this, fall into the trap of creating social media posts that speak only to themselves, which often leads to creating posts that are too long, contain jargon, or fail to capture people's attention. So one of the questions we received was, how can you balance a quick, clean, and social media friendly caption with the often complex realities of the work? And I definitely relate to that issue. I think the solution is to put yourself in the shoes of your audience. Before starting a post, ask yourself, do your followers really need to know every aspect of the subject in your post? If not, what is the one key thing that pertains to them and their goals? That is what should dictate the content of your post. If you don't know where to start, or if you don't have thousands of dollars to do market research, I would suggest learning more about buyer personas. Buyer personas are essentially representations of your ideal customer, follower, volunteer, donor, and so on. They're based on data and some speculation about demographics, motivations, and goals. There's a lot of free resources about buyer personas, but I personally recommend HubSpot's guides, which can help you create your personas and start using them. Although I'm sure that many of us have an idea of who their audience is, it really helps to write down exactly who you're trying to reach so you can keep them top of mind when you're creating content. Another tip is to determine your tone and adapt it to the culture of each social media platform. For example, Facebook can be a bit more informal and conversational, while content on LinkedIn should sound more professional. And while you have to adhere to the vibe, if you will, of each platform, you should always maintain an authentic and consistent tone that reflects your brand. In social media, tone refers to the brand's unique expression, style, and personality. In other words, your followers should never be confused as to why a certain post is coming from your account. If you're unsure about what language to use in a particular situation, our advice is to always steer toward more formal language. And last but not least, you should post as often as you can. This is one of the most frequent suggestions about social media. First, because the algorithms favor consistency, and second, because consistent posting keeps your brand at the forefront of your audience's minds. Later, Aaron will talk more about when the best times to post are. Next slide, please, Isabel. Thank you. So going back to the question about creating social media friendly copy, shorter posts tend to do better on social media. If you must write a longer copy, we suggest breaking it into paragraphs. Another important practice for getting engagement is to always add a photo. You can have the best copy in the world, but a high quality image is what is going to get users to stop and look. At the end of the presentation, we'll share resources about image size requirements, and there are a lot for each platform, and free stock photos. In terms of topics, we found that information sharing posts do well. Of course, we're often compelled to include some sort of call to action, but every time we're asking users to do something like sign up for a webinar or attend an event, there's always a chance that the post will not get a lot of engagement simply because the user has to exit the platform they're on. And as we all know, once you start scrolling, it's hard to stop. This is how these platforms are designed. So now, depending on your audience, you must have folks, or I hope you have folks who are always liking and engaging in your posts. But for others, you must make a case as to why they should take a certain action. So this is when you can get a bit more creative and say, fill out this survey for a chance to win a gift card, or sign up for our newsletters, for our newsletter to be the first to find out about new developments. In other words, you have to make a compelling case as to why people should take action. And of course, we have to mention the pay-to-play nature of social media. Throughout the years, organic, meaning non-paid posts, have been deprioritized in favor of posts that have money behind them. That's just the reality that every small organization must grapple with. Without putting money behind your posts, it is more difficult to grow your account. Now, perhaps for you, quality is better than quantity. So maybe having 100 great local followers is better than having 10,000 followers who don't engage with your content. I think this is a good mindset to have, especially if your work is grounded in a specific community. Next slide, please. Thank you. So we can't emphasize this enough. Images are extremely important in social media where users are constantly bombarded with information. One way to take your images to the next level is to use a service like Canva, which is a free-to-use online graphic design tool. Adobe Photoshop is another popular option which gives you more capabilities, but it requires a monthly fee. You should choose high-quality, authentic, and relevant images that align with your brand. And similarly to images, videos are a great way to increase engagement, especially since audiences are spending an average of 17 hours a week watching videos online. Some best practices are to keep videos short and to the point, and ideally under 90 seconds for most platforms. Tailor your content to the specific platform. For example, vertical videos work well on Instagram stories, while horizontal videos are suitable for Facebook and LinkedIn. And next slide, please. Thank you. So let's talk about engaging other accounts. In the beginning of the presentation, Aaron mentioned that social media is about two-way communication with your community. By interacting with accounts that share a target audience or complementary content, you can tap into a network of potential followers who are already interested in your niche. For example, when you comment on posts from other organizations or influencers, users see that you're providing value to their community, and they will be more willing to follow you. From what we've observed at the fund, social media algorithms love comments as they show that a post is generating engagement. Therefore, it's important to engage with organizations doing similar work, as well as interacting with users who comment on your posts. And last but not least, it's important to optimize your posts and use all the tools available for acknowledging other accounts. This will make your posts easier to find and more appealing. Examples include tags, hashtags, and things like emojis. And by the way, today is World Emoji Day. And in order to draw attention to your posts, and like everything we've talked about, moderation is key. So if you decide to tag someone, use hashtags or emojis, don't overdo it. So I'm gonna stop speaking and back to Aaron.
Awesome. Thanks, Jivko. Cool. Okay, so now we're just going to chat kind of quickly about two different types of posts on Facebook. So you guys might not even really notice that there are different like types of Facebook posts. So I'm just going to mention them quickly, and then maybe it'll kind of ring a bell. But the first is a photo post. So this means that you've written your copy out, you're ready to post whatever you want to post, and then you've gone ahead and you've added your own photo or photos to the post. So you'll see in these examples here, that first one with the trees is just one photo. The one to the right of that has 3 photos. One's a little bit bigger, and then the bottom 2 are a little bit smaller. And then the one on the bottom is a graphic that we designed and uploaded as a photo. So all of these are great, but my recommendation would be to add more than one photo. And the reason for that is because as your followers click through these photos, your engagement goes up And then Facebook realizes, oh, this is an engaging post that people are clicking through. And then it starts to send that post more. It starts to send it out to more folks and more followers as people are engaging with it. So if you have multiple photos, you kind of force people a little bit to engage with it, which is really helpful for increasing your engagement. And we'll talk about photos later, and I think I've already mentioned it a little bit earlier too, but definitely make sure that if you're sharing photos that they're relatively professional looking. Even iPhones and Androids today can take impeccable photos. You don't always need, a tripod and a long lens and a photographer. We can take some really great photos just with our phones in our pockets. So definitely feel empowered to do that, to share on your social media posts. If you're at an event and people are speaking or people are clapping or people are speaking with their hands, those sort of photos do really well. It kind of shows, that they're engaged at the event. So, those typically perform well. So kind of keep your eyes out for some photo opportunities that could be really strong to use on your social media accounts. Isabel, next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so then the second type of Facebook post is a link post. So this type of post occurs when you add a link into that Facebook copy. So an image from that link will automatically populate across your post. So the image you see here of the flowers and then the gray box below the image are both clickable. So it kind of takes what would be a small little clickable link and blows it up and makes it so that you're taking up essentially what we call like real estate, a lot more real estate on people's feeds, which is always a good thing because this allows them to click more. There are more opportunities to click something. They can click the link in your copy, they can click this photo, they can click that little gray box. So it just kind of takes up, as I said, more like a real estate on people's feeds. And it kind of draws people in. So both of these links and image posts are great posts, but sometimes, Isabel, if you go back to that slide really quick for me, please. Thank you. Sometimes the image that populates here might not be that great. You might think, oh, this is a terrible picture that I don't want, populating with my post. So my recommendation, if that happens, is not necessarily to delete this picture, but it would be to upload your own photo that you think is better and change your post from a link post to a photo post, because we definitely want to keep a photo in your post. We definitely don't want to be posting content with only copy, only words, because we know that doesn't really catch our attention. So make sure if this populates and you don't like it, just go ahead and upload a photo, and there'll be a little link down there while you're creating your post to add a photo to it. So just add a little photo to it and change that post from a link post to a photo post, and just make sure that you keep that link in your copy so that people are still able to click on that link. But that would be my recommendation. Okay, Isabel, you can head to the next one. Thank you. Cool. Okay, so let's see. So now, still kind of on the topic of links, we shorten our links at TCF. So you kind of see in that example there's that really long link, conservationfund.org/impact/blog/ and it just keeps going, right? So I go ahead and I use something called bit.ly.com to shorten a lot of those links so that it looks a lot cleaner in the post. So I would recommend doing that. And I think Bitly gives you 10 free short links a month with a free account, which is all I have. So I think it's doable to just create an account, which you'll have to do. And then when you do that, you'll get 10 free shortened links a month. And this, like I said, just makes your post look a little bit cleaner, shortens your post a little bit too, which we've talked about, brevity and short posts and things like that. So this is not necessarily like 100% a need, but it's definitely something to consider if you all are looking toward just kind of making some cleaner posts and trying some new things. And then I want to say also too, before we move on really quickly from links, that on Facebook, when you put your link in the copy, and then you get that pre-populated image that I talked about a couple slides ago with in our example, the flowers, you can actually then, once that image pre-populates, once that link pre-populates, you can actually go ahead and delete the physical link from your Facebook copy if you want to. You don't have to, but you can, because that link image has pre-populated and folks are still able to click that. So if you want an even cleaner sort of post, you can go ahead and remove the link entirely from the copy, so long as it has already pre-populated with that little image and that gray box that we talked about. So just something to try. If you try it and you don't like it and you want to put the link back in, you always can, but just something to note. All right, Isabel, next slide. Thank you. Okay, so another important piece of increasing your social media engagement is to know, like Jivko mentioned, when to post and then post then. So there are so many studies on this that come back and basically say that midweek is the best and mornings are the best. So I personally don't post on weekends at all. Oh, I apologize. That's my dog. I don't post on weekends really at all, unless there's something that's incredibly timely that needs to go out over the weekend, and that I might have kind of missed the boat if I wait until Monday, right? So if something has to go out on the weekends, a deadline's approaching or something like that, go ahead and post on the weekends. But just ask yourself before you do, can this hold until next week? And the same is also sort of said with Friday afternoons. I don't know about you all, but I tend to kind of float away from my phone and my computer on Friday afternoons as I'm logging off work. People are getting together with, friends and going out to dinner and things like that. So we try not to post on Friday afternoons as well. You can post on a Friday morning, but we try not to post on Friday afternoons or over the weekend. Sometimes, however, I will say I'll have an awareness day, for example. I know like this month, for example, is Park and Recreation month, but sometimes there's Park and Recreation Day and it's a Saturday. And you're like, I don't really want to hold this until Monday. I don't want to post it on Friday before the actual day. So those I will go ahead and post on the weekend because, at the end of the day, if someone misses it, it's not signing up for an event. It's not a deadline. It's nothing like that you really feel, oh my gosh, if my audience misses this, it's the end of the world, right? So you can take that into consideration as well when you're looking at potential weekend posts. A good example of this is like we didn't post on July 5th, which fell on a Friday today after a holiday or on a holiday. Sometimes it makes sense not to post. So just things to consider when you're kind of looking at your calendar and determining when to post. Cool. Thank you, Isabel. So Isabel, if you want to jump into Meta Business Suite here, you're welcome to. If not, I can also just chat it through. But I wanted to show you all Facebook's Meta Business Suite. So in all honesty, it's kind of a relatively confusing tool, but there are two elements that I do want to show you guys that are less confusing that I think are a little bit more beneficial. So the first, Isabel, I think if you hit the home button on the left, I think, yes. And then if you wouldn't mind clicking create post, that blue guy for me, please. Awesome, thank you. So this is the first one that I wanted to show you guys, and now you saw us get there. So I know a lot of folks will probably post just right from your Facebook page, right? But this is another tool that you can use to post content. And the cool thing about this is it kind of shows you on the right side what your post looks like. And then the part I wanted to mention here is that little blue publish rectangle kind of toward the bottom. Yes, exactly. So you can publish now, or you can also schedule. So if you move up a little bit, right, thank you, Isabel, following Isabel's mouse, there's also an opportunity to just go ahead and schedule your post, which is really cool too if you want to post one of those awareness days on a Saturday and you're like, I don't want to jump on my laptop or my phone on a Saturday. I'm going to be out and about. I'll just go ahead and schedule it. So that's great too if it's a Saturday, like I mentioned, or if you guys have some content kind of in the hopper that you know you want to send, you can go ahead and schedule things here, which is just useful. And when you have downtime and you don't think you'll have a second when you want to post it, you can use that downtime to just go ahead and schedule it here, which is really great. And then the second thing, Isabel, I think you can click the little, is there like a calendar planner? Yes, back to where you were. Thank you. So then there's also this little like calendar section. And Isabel, if you don't mind, if you would go up to the left and click month. Thank you. I kind of like this view. So this will show you guys two things, everything that you've posted, but also everything that is scheduled. And it's funny, I can see here there's like, does that say National Ice Cream Day? Those I think are pre-populated by Meta. So if you ever see any opportunity to tie into any of those things, Meta, Facebook's parent company, is letting you know that those are some fun days that you might want to post something about. But I just think this is a really neat view to kind of come in and see, again, what you've posted and what is scheduled, just to kind of make sure that everything looks good to go. There's also a third element that I don't think I see here, but the third element will also show you when your users are typically online, which is kind of cool. It'll just pop up here in this calendar and it'll say like, 8 p.m. A lot of your followers are online. So that might be worth considering. Oh, do I want to use that time, since it seems like most of my followers are online, to post something? So it's totally up to you. And if you find that your followers are online all weekend, that, maybe that's something good to think about, to consider. Might be kind of weird if they're online all weekend compared to the like data that we have, but if they are, they are, and then that will help you to know that, which is kind of neat. So I would definitely check this out and use it as a guide to determine kind of when to post. And I think you can also go to, and Isabel, you don't have to do this, but if you're in this platform, you can also go to Insights and then Audience. And I think that also shows you there when your audience is online as well. So that's kind of cool too, and shows you a lot about your audience just in general. So just some kind of fun things to check in on. Cool. So yeah, whenever you're ready, Isabel, we can jump back to the next slide, please. Cool, thank you. Okay, so now we just have a couple posts here, and I just kind of want to hear from you all. So feel free to either come off mute or just kind of pop your answers in the chat. But these are some of our real TCF posts that we've posted to Facebook. And I kind of just wanted to hear from you all what you think. There's only 3 of these. This is the first one. What you think of this first post. So do you think it's great, perfect, no room for improvement? Or do you think that there is an opportunity to improve this post based on some of the things that we've chatted about? And if so, what could we improve? So again, feel free to jump in or pop your answers in the chat, but just kind of curious. Good stuff coming in. Thank you all. Yeah, so the two that are in here right now that I can see, the three now, the clear photo, are all things that we've talked about. So the question that kind of serves as a hook is always a great idea. A nice, good photo populated with that link. That's very true. The one thing that someone did mention that was kind of what I was thinking was that link. So if you can see that link, it's quite long. It has not been shortened. It's got, the ... I think twice. So one room for improvement here would be to shorten that link. That would be the big thing. I'm more drawn to the image versus the copy. That's true. That does happen. And I think that's okay, right? I think if someone kind of their interest gets piqued by that really solid picture, the hope, right, is that they'll go ahead and read the copy, maybe even click on the picture. But definitely a good thing to note that picture is a good, strong image, and it does kind of draw our eyes to it. So yeah, the one thing I was kind of thinking of here is that link, but I'm very glad that you all also saw some really positive parts of this post. So that was great. Thank you. Isabel, if you want to go to the next one, we just have a couple more. Cool. Thank you. So here's another one. So what do you guys think of this post? Is it good to go? Is it perfect? Or could we make some improvements? And if we can, what improvements do you all see could be made? Okay, maybe this is good. I'm not seeing anybody type. So we threw this one in here because it is a solid post. It's a clear photo, definitely. Yeah. Photos can always be better, right? There's always an opportunity for some good photos. So the reason why I chose this one as a pretty solid post is because we have a nice short link in there. And you'll see we've also tagged some, the Oklahoman is a publication that this link clicks out to, and we've tagged them. And we also have some hashtags in there as well. And it's short. And yeah, the photo could maybe be a little bit stronger. There's always room for improvement in photos, but generally speaking, I think this is a really good post. We could throw some emojis in, for sure. That's a great point. You can always throw some emojis in. Don't go crazy. Don't throw in 100, but you can absolutely throw some in, and that catches people's eye as well. So yeah, thank you guys. Isabel, if you want to go, there's just one more. Okay. This one is kind of tricky. I'll give you all a little bit of time to kind of read through it. This is our last one. Let me know what you think. Could it be improved? How? Or is it perfect and good to go? You let me know. Kind of tricky. I'll give you some time. Okay, I'll go ahead and jump in. So this one's hard. This one is a really good opportunity to mention to you all that sometimes we can do everything right and things still don't quite work the way that we wanted them to. So if you look really closely, it might be tough to see, but if you look really closely, there are some hashtags in here that didn't end up working. So you'll see, I think there's like 2 or 3 hashtags in here where we used the pound sign correctly. There's no space between the pound sign and the words that we want to hashtag, but for some reason it just didn't work. It just didn't stick. So this is just an opportunity to remind you all that once you post something, if you go back and it just doesn't look right, Facebook and LinkedIn and even Instagram are all editable. So if you go back in and you check that post and you're like, hey, I hashtagged those and they didn't work, you can go ahead and just edit them until they work. It's the same thing with tagging like partners and publications and other organizations. Sometimes for some reason, they just don't quite stick. So when you're typing out your post and you're going to tag somebody, make sure that you're it's tagging correctly. And you can hit publish, and if it's not right, you can go in and you can edit it and you can make sure that everybody's tagged. But when you're tagging people, it's the @ sign. There are no spaces. You just @ sign and you go right into the name of the partner or the publication or whomever, and then just check it. Just check it at the end. Make sure that it worked. So that was this one. There's kind of some room for improvement there, just making sure that everything kind of sticks correctly. So that was the answer there. All right, and then this is our resource library. These are some of the things that we chatted about today. So Jivko mentioned HubSpot. That's a free resource. Bitly is in here, Canva, and then some other ones for free images and videos. And then the Meta Business Suite link is down there as well for you all. So just a good resource list to have. Cool. Okay. I know we're running up on time, but that is it. So let us know if you guys have any questions or comments or anything. The floor is yours.
I would just like to say, coming from a social media journalist perspective, you all did a great job with providing clear and concise information on posting. So I'm really impressed, and that's all I have to say.
Awesome. Thank you. We really appreciate that.
I know you didn't cover this, but I've often wondered when I do Facebook posts, I tend to get where I get a message or something that says, you have great fans, recognize your fans. What do I do with that? I don't do anything with it. It's kind of like, does that mean I need to send an individual post to everybody and say, oh, thank you for being a top fan of mine today, So how do you handle that? Because I know it could lead to better engagement.
Yeah, I don't know, Jivko, you can totally jump in. I personally don't do anything with that. I think, and I could be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong. I think that might be for personal Facebook pages versus organizational Facebook pages, but I could be wrong. Jivko, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that one.
I know there's a way to tag all followers. I'm not sure. I haven't myself posted, but in a while. But I think add followers actually goes to all of your followers, so they get a notification that an organization has tagged all of their followers. So I think this is just Facebook's way to get you to use the platform, and that's kind of all it is. So it's not. You can take it or leave it. If you don't think that you don't have anything to say, you don't have to kind of follow that prompt and message your followers. But that's my take on it, is that it's just Facebook way of getting more posts into the feeds, basically.
And I do know, if I could just piggyback, I do know, Miss Delphine, that sometimes you can like give gifts to your top supporters or top followers. Like I saw that I just got a badge from the Friends of Anacostia Park, and it says that I'm one of their top followers on Facebook. And so now it's a badge that's displayed on my Facebook page that says Tony Richardson loves the Friends of Anacostia Park. And so that might be something to look into as well. I'm not sure if you can give folks badges. The Parks with Purpose Facebook page would certainly love to be in your top supporters. So let us know.
I have a question. So this is a more general question that you don't have to answer it in the most specific way. So if it's a complicated or like complex answer, don't feel the pressure. But so let's say you do good on a good post, lots of engagement, a lot of likes, a lot of comments. How do you retain your audience? How do you retain engagement?
Yeah, that's a great question. The first thing I would say to do is go ahead when you have a post that performs really well and click on the list of folks who liked it or loved it or engaged in it in that way. and you will see all of those Facebook accounts come up. So everyone that has engaged with it in that way should come up when you click on the number of likes that that post got. And you can invite people that don't necessarily like your page to like your page. And that kind of keeps them, you know, in the know if they decide to go ahead and like it. But there should be a button that says invite. And then you can invite those people to like your page, which is always good to do. That would be my first recommendation. And then, yeah, I would say that would be my first recommendation. I think the other thing you should definitely do on that post is reply to people that have commented on that post as your organization. So reply and say, you know, if it's an event, we look forward to seeing you there. Or thank you for your support. You know, that means a lot to us. Or we're so glad you loved this post. You know, but if you keep engaging with people that have engaged with you, that momentum and that engagement will go a really long way. Those would be my two. Jivko, I don't know if you have anything, but those would kind of be my initial thoughts.
Yeah, that's where my mind went as well. Is I've seen a lot of great results by inviting folks. So you're not going to have high engagement on every single post. It's kind of like you know, it's I guess in our experiences, we have one great post like above 100 engagements, and then we might have a couple that's just 16 or 17. But when you do have a post with high engagement, it's so important to go there and invite all of these folks. And most of the time, your followers will go up because people will get a direct notification that you're inviting them to like your page. So I think that's a great trick.
And then I know we are running out of time, but it looks like there were two questions. So Justin asked, do you recommend creating different posts for different social media platforms, or does it not matter to drill down to that much detail?
Yeah, so in all honesty, TCF pretty much posts the same thing, the same content for Facebook and LinkedIn, for example. So if it's an event invite or sign up for our e-newsletters or something generic in general like that, feel free to use the same copy on Facebook and on LinkedIn. I think that's totally fine. If you're on X, it might have to be shorter, but generally speaking, I think you can more or less use the same copy. You can throw some emojis in on Facebook if you want, use them a little bit sparingly on LinkedIn, but I think that's safe for sure.
And it looks like there was one more. How do we combat bots on social media, specifically Facebook?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a tough one. We have a whole sort of drill down on how to handle comments basically that we don't want there, whether it's a bot or just a negative comment that, you know, isn't purposeful. And I think there's the ability as an organization to hide a post, hide a comment, excuse me. So I think if a bot is commenting, I would recommend maybe just hiding it. That would be my recommendation. And I think it's kind of all I've done. That I hope that's helpful.
And you can also block people, like if you just had enough of someone, I believe you can also block them.
That's true.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. Z and Aaron, thank you all so much. Echoing Mindy, you guys did a fantastic job and really appreciate you sharing your experience and expertise with the group. And thank you all, everyone, for taking the time to join us today. We have recorded this, and so we will be sending this out afterwards. So other folks that you think would benefit from this content, please be sure to share that link with them. And we have another upcoming Lunch and Learn coming up. It will be with the wonderful Shannon Lee, which I know a lot of you know are one of our development folks. And she's going to be demystifying fundraising. So she's going to be talking about how to respond to federal grants and corporate grants and all types of different, just all the whole grant discussion, writing proposals, how to steward relationships, how to build relationships with individual donors. She'll be going through very top level sort of fundraising 101. So we hope that you guys will keep a lookout for that information and can join us for our next Lunch and Learn. And with that, thank you all again for joining. And I hope you have a great rest of your day and stay cool out there.
Bye
Take
all.
care.
Thank you.
Take care.